And here to continue the conversation on the G20, John Gong. He's a professor of economics at the University of International Business and Economics in Beijing. Welcome back to the show, John.
Thank you.
So the big headliner from the G20 finance ministers meeting, global tax reform. What are the chances, would you say, that they'll agree and ultimately implement a minimum corporate tax rate of at least 15%?
I think there's a pretty good chance that this initiative will be passed because most of the major powers on the same page, including the United States, including China, and a couple of major economic powers, they're all on the same page. Like only a few countries that are currently holding out. These are sort of minor countries, and they have been pretty much the beneficiaries of the tax loopholes from an international perspective in the past. And I think it's about time that they close these loopholes. So I'm pretty confident that with the major powers behind it, this initiative will probably very likely, I would say, go ahead and be passed eventually.
Why is it taking it so long, John? Why these loopholes for so long?
Well, because it's an international coordinated effort. For a long time, the taxation is very much a individual country's problem. Each country's matter. There's a saying that taxation needs to have a representation, so it's pretty much a sovereign issue. But obviously, in a global age, the taxation transcends national borders. So it's becoming more of an issue as more and more multinational companies being able to take advantages of differences in these tax systems and be able to evade taxes. So I think this has come to a stage that United States is taking the lead to close these loopholes. It takes some time to put things together, especially such an international initiative. It needs cooperation from most of the major countries. So it takes some time.
So the G20 is also under pressure to cough up funding to help poorer nations battle both COVID-19 and climate change. How might they address this?
Yeah, well, that's a tough issue, I guess, as your program has indicated that things have changed a little bit. These countries that have been pretty much vaccinated need more vaccines in the future because of the continuous waves of the COVID-19, the variants of COVID-19. So they may backpedal a little bit, in consideration that more vaccines are needed in their own countries. So, at the end of the day, it's usually these poor countries, these really least developed countries that are left behind. And I think the international community needs to step up and help these countries. Otherwise, this virus is not going to be gone. Also, I want to point out that there's actually a separate task force under the G20 that comes up with a report emphasizing the prevention and preparedness for viruses in the future. We have to keep in mind that COVID-19 is not the end of the viruses. There'll be more viruses like this coming in the future. So, the world community needs to be prepared for that.
John, though, there's always the pledge and then there's the delivery. So how do the G20 nations, how do they perform when it comes to meeting funding targets?
Well, the issue is that G20 is really not a mechanism where you have this enforcement power. I think it's very much up to the countries, individual countries that make pledge at this platform, and they have to self-implement and self-enforce it. So, I don't think that there's a current working mechanism to enforce that. So it pretty much leaves to each government's goodwill to implement what they promised at the forum.
John Gong, always good to speak with you. Thank you so much.